Hi, I'm Bill Arnold. Thank you for listening to this podcast. There are many more podcasts available at myfaithradio.com. Your support makes this possible. Thank you. And a warm welcome to the Bill Arnold Show. This is a pretty exciting 2-day all-out effort to tell really amazing stories and encourage people to be part of life changes for kids. It is One Child Day today and tomorrow. We're doing this across all of our stations. And today I will have a conversation with Rick Smith, who is the program director and on-air host at WCIC in Peoria, who made a pretty spectacular trip over to Africa. Rick, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Bill. Happy to be here.
Yeah, this is an awfully energizing time around the Northwestern media as everybody is on board to help serve as many kids as we can on the other side of the world.
Yeah, it's exciting for me. I've been a family guy, 5 kids of my own, and involved in children's ministry throughout my life. And so children hold a special place in my heart. And so I've been super excited to be involved not only with Northwestern Media, but One Child, as we have worked to get children sponsored all over the world, and especially this year in Africa.
Yeah. So, Rick, tell everyone your story on how you decided to sponsor a child in Africa, and then tell us what happened after that.
Yeah, well, for my wife and I, as I said, we've had a fairly large family for our terms, 5 kids. That seemed really big for me, and we're getting to the point now where we're working towards our empty nester ages. Our youngest is a sophomore, and we've both been passionate about children and children's ministry, and so when the opportunity to partner with One Child to sponsor children came up, it was really a no-brainer for us. As you know, our children are leaving the house. Our oldest 2 are already gone. We have decided to sponsor a few kids now through One Child. And so when I was approached about the idea on going on this trip to Africa, I talked to my wife about it, and it was a no-brainer. We went on the website, we saw Blessing, and we knew that she needed to be a part of our extended family. And so we chose to sponsor her and then had the opportunity through Northwestern Media and One Child to go to Kenya and visit the Hope Center that is launching because of this event that we're having. And so getting to meet her in person was so incredible to, not just see a screen on a face, a face on a screen, somebody we know we can write letters to and do things, but to see her in person, to give her a gift, to give her a hug was incredible. And it went even beyond that for me in that they set up home visits while we were there. And so I got to be a part of a group that not only got to meet Blessing at a Hope Center, but I got to travel to her home. And so it was quite interesting for me because there was so much that I felt like we take for granted, like a car to get places. Now, I did have the benefit of hopping in a car from the Hope Center and driving as far as the roads would take us. But then thinking about, she walks all that way to the Hope Center day in and day out. And when we couldn't drive any further, we had to get out and essentially climb up what was the foothill of one of the mountains to get to her house. And she was sweet because she just skipped right up this hill ahead of me as I'm huffing and puffing and out of breath. But it was amazing. Got to see the house that she lives in. And I was able to FaceTime my wife. I got just enough cell signal that day. And so we gave her gifts and stuff. And Wilfred, who was the One Child champion with us, kind of brought me over and he's like, I want you to talk to this lady here because the story goes even deeper than we even know. And what we found out is Blessing doesn't live in her house. Her father had passed away during COVID, and between the grief and taking care of the children, Blessing's mother suffers from really bad mental health issues. And so she was not able to live on her own and take care of the children. So it was actually a neighbor kind of up the hill, up the mountain from them that took Blessing, her mom, her siblings in to her own house where she had her own children. There's another orphan whose mom and dad have passed away that she fosters, and she's taking on all this responsibility. And so just saying that our sponsorship of Blessing wasn't only going to make a difference in Blessing's life, it was going to change Blessing's mom's life and her siblings and this neighbor who took the entire family in because they couldn't support themselves.
Wow, Rick, your firsthand experience is so powerful. I'm sitting here listening, thinking, what can I do to help? I'm just one person, but what can I do to help? And the answer is you can sponsor a child like Blessing.
Yeah, it's just one child that you're asked to sponsor for $44 a month. But I got to see firsthand that it wasn't just Blessing's life that was going to get better. Her siblings, her mom, this neighbor that took her in, and one of the coolest moments for me was the one child champion that was there. Kind of, they were interviewing people. They specifically were interested in kind of everybody's faith. Then they were there and wanted to know, were they born again believers? Did they know Jesus? And I think partly because of her mental health struggles, didn't get a great answer from Blessing's mom. But at the end of the visit, I think it had made, I'm guessing it had made such an impact on Blessing's mom that she stopped us all before we left. And she said, you know what, I need to be a member of this church that hosts this Hope Center that's going to make a difference in my child's life. And so already you can see that the impact isn't going to just be on Blessing's life, but now her mom is going to be a part of this church and hear about the same Jesus that Blessing is. And yeah, that's the difference that sponsoring one child can make. It goes so much further than just that one child.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to this walking up the hill. Obviously, Blessing is faster than you, and she's scooting up the hill, and you get to see the living environment that they're in. And give me your gut reaction to all that.
Oh, yeah, I think that's the hard part, because what Blessing calls her home that Joyce had now here, it was more than just a mud hut, which I was thankful for. They had some concrete, but it was what we would call a shed or a shack, really. One room, it had windows, but there was no windows. There were holes cut into the side of the house. There was no front door to close to keep bugs or weather or anything like that out. It was essentially a stone room that they all lived in. We didn't get to go inside this particular one because they had a sick child that was in there sleeping at the time. But yeah, for an entire family, or really two families, to live in what I would consider a shed in my backyard was really just eye-opening, that there are people around the world that really live at this level of poverty.
Mm-hmm. Rick, when you were talking about being there and talking to a one-child champion, what does a one-child champion mean? Who is that person?
So these are the people that work for the church, work with one child to help the children. So these are women that they'll get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, and they'll be going into the Hope Center to cook the meal that the children are going to work that day. It's some of the guys that will stand outside of the Hope Centers during the day to make sure that the place is secure and that nobody's going to be coming in and messing with the children inside. Child champions are the teachers that come in that help with the educational needs, that not only from a standard educational, math, all those kinds of things, but they also get to learn about Jesus. And so, they have church while they're there. They're taught Sunday school lessons in addition to their educational stuff. So anybody that works in and around the Hope Center are called child champions, because they are doing everything they can to get these children out of the situations they're in and to give them hope and let them know that God loves them.
And Rick, one of the things I think that sets one child apart is one child goes in and partners with the local churches and communities. So we're able to network with people that know these people, love these people, care about these people, and can help provide for these kids.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. It's not the organization, one child necessarily coming in and be like, okay, we're going to set up shop and we're going to take over and we're going to make it better. They partner with churches and with pastors who already have a heart for the area, who are already doing the work with the children. We got to talk to some of the country directors from One Child that were there. And, in some cases, they will work with years for a pastor to, ask them questions, to watch their ministry, to make sure that what they're doing really aligns with the heart of One Child. And when they see that they already have this heart for reaching the people there and raising up the children there, then they're able to partner with that church that's already there doing what God has called them to do. And that's what makes that relationship special.
Mm-hmm. So when you go to the Hope Center, how far was it for Blessing to get from her home or where she was living to the Hope Center, which I think, did you say she goes there every day?
I believe it's once a week
Okay.
in the Hope Center. This
Okay.
particular one did not have a school built into it. So they get to go once a week, but it was, I got to try to think. I was not driving, so I'm not sure. But like I said, we did get to drive. It was probably a 10 or 15-minute drive
Oh, wow.
as far as we could drive before we hopped out of the car and then, took the 5 to 10-minute hike up the hill. So we had to drive slow because the roads there are not what you would consider super drivable.
Mm-hmm.
We really probably spent as much time on the shoulders because the roads were in as bad shape. But it was miles away from her home that she would walk every week to get to the Hope Center.
Mm-hmm. When you get to this home that Blessing was staying in, and I'm going to probably ask the same question over, but those are moments in time that you never, ever forget, do you, Rick? I mean, you're going to see that image in your head for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I can still see kind of the front door that we sat outside of, and just, the lack of thing. I have a Ring doorbell on my front door, and my front door locks, and, I have power and running water, and I have a kitchen to cook food. And so, experiencing
toilets that
the
flush.
fact that they're living in a shed without any of these utilities,
Right.
these things that I take for granted every day, I will never forget that.
Mm-hmm. So what is Blessing's day-to-day life like? Is it a constant chores? Does she work? Does she have a place where she gets schooling? What is her little life like throughout the week?
So I think her average day, as best I can put together, is she is in primary school, and I think thanks to the Hope Center making it possible, one of the things they struggle with there is school is supposed to be free, but the government is not able to follow through on those promises, and so there is a substantial amount that has to be paid. And so that's one of the things that these Hope Centers do, is make sure the families and these kids can get the education they need. So she'll get up and she'll go to school during the day, but then it's home in the afternoon, and I'm sure she's got chores to do. A lot of the area they live in is like farmland,
Mm-hmm.
so any land that they are living in, they're trying to grow things, because they'll sell whatever. Keep the food that they have to eat, but they're going to try to sell as much of it as they can to make the money they need to pay rent, or, pitch in what they can for school and provide food for themselves that they can't grow.
Wow, that's overwhelming. I'm going to take a little break. My guest is Rick Smith. We're talking, of course, today about one child, and Rick and his wife sponsored a little girl named Blessing over in Africa and had a chance to meet her. What an amazing experience. We're going to be back in just 90 seconds and more with Rick. You might be the kind of person that goes to Paris and still listens to Faith Radio on the app. And I'm thinking of a particular couple from northern Minnesota. Or you might be more like the person that just goes into the next room in your apartment and listens. Well, the good news is using the app is just as easy in both places. Downloading the free app is crazy easy. Just text the word app to 877-933-2484 and then click the link. And if you happen to be in Paris, there is a coffee shop, but you should see the prices of biscotti. They have gone through the roof. I recommend avoiding it.
One moment.
One moment.
One child.
One child.
Dear Joy, thank you for being my sponsor and writing me letters. I keep them all. You make me feel special and want to know God like you do. Can you tell me how you study the Bible? I want to study it like you do.
We are back, and I hope you are prayerfully considering sponsoring a child through the One Child program. My guest is Rick Smith, who was over in Kenya in the last month and had an opportunity not only to sponsor a child, but to meet her in person. And Rick, that's got to be the prime experience, to be able to meet your child in person. Now, for most of us, we won't have that opportunity. So what would it be like for me if I sponsored a child? What level of communication could I anticipate enjoying with them?
Well, that is the cool thing about how One Child is moving forward with what they're doing. We've sponsored other kids through One Child, and most of the communication we've been able to do is written letters. Now, they've got new enough technology where I wasn't really writing letters because they wouldn't be able to read my handwriting anyway. But you could, type and send electronically, and you could upload pictures and things. But with the new advancement in technology and stuff, is if you go to the Faith Radio page right now and you look at these children that can be sponsored, like there are videos out there where you can see a child champion introducing the children. And so it's not just a static picture you're seeing, you can see real video of them. And then after you choose to sponsor a child, you'll be able to be a part of that child's community, the One Child community. And so you'll be able to send video messages back and forth, which is one of the things I'm really looking forward to. I think it's going to make it a lot easier than even typing out essentially an email message to them where I can record a video. It's not FaceTime like where you're doing direct one-on-one because there are child safety things to keep in mind, but I can record a video with, myself and my wife. I can have my kids in it. I know one of the things, we also sponsor a little boy from Honduras. And so we've been able to show him like our pet cat because he also has a pet cat. So we're able to send video messages back and forth. And the child champions at the Hope Center, that's one of the things they'll do kind of once a month, I think is their plan, to sit down and do a video with the kids so that they can talk to you and share what's on their heart and what they're excited about and what they're learning and how much appreciation they have. I really felt a lot of that getting to meet my sponsored child. So you won't just get that in written letters anymore, but you'll be able to get that back and forth in video, which is a really cool thing.
Mm-hmm. I've been sponsoring a child for, I think, about 4 years now. I have not been on one of the trips that you and Wyatt have been on, but it seems like now would be a good time to encourage people to get to Faith Radio and check out the profiles of the kids and start moving towards sponsoring a child. What would you encourage people to do?
Yeah, so for Faith Radio, what we have going on right now, if you go to our website, myfaithradio.com, right on the front page, you're going to see a button that says Sponsor a Child Today. When you click that, you're going to be taken to another page which shows you the pictures and the faces of these children. You get to read their profile, what they're interested in, if they're active, if they like school, what they want to be when they grow up, and then you can decide which child is right for you. And it is $44 a month. I think Rick said that earlier. So that's the commitment that you're getting into. But as Rick and Bill would both say, and myself, it is well worth that cost to know you're making a difference in a child's life. It truly is remarkable. And yeah, I mean, I share a lot of what Rick has said up to this point, Bill. It's amazing to be on that trip, to see these kids and the joy that they have on their faces, even with the circumstances that they're facing. So if you're prayerfully considering taking this step, again, myfaithradio.com, or you can actually text the word child to 877-933-2484, and we will send you a link, and that'll get you where you need to go as well in order to sponsor a child. So there you go.
I would like to ask both of you, because when you traveled and saw the Hope Centers and met some of the kids, give me a little background on what your expectations were, and what was it like when you got into that environment? Did they meet your expectations? Did you see enough pictures that you realized when you got there, yep, this is kind of what I expected?
Yeah, Rick, you go ahead and go first if you want, since your trip was more recent.
Yeah, I was blown away. I don't know that I knew before my first trip what it was going to be like. I think probably the expectation I had in my head, because you hear about, these are kids living in extreme poverty. I think I just expected probably sadness is really what I expected. That, these are kids that, are probably malnourished. They're struggling to get fed, living in poverty. I'm like, how can you have happiness or joy in a situation like that? And the expectations were completely blown away. As at the Hope Center, you pull up to it, and the first thing you hear is music. And the first thing you see are kids smiling and dancing so exuberant with happiness and joy that you are there, that they are there and part of the Hope Centers. And it just was beyond what I expected. I expected kids who lived in poverty to be struggling and not happy and joyful, but because of the difference the Hope Center and One Child and child sponsors are having, they have all this exuberant joy that just blew me away, and I just wanted to be a part of it.
I would echo a lot of that too as well, Rick. You know, there was so much joy on these kids' faces when we arrived. And to be clear, I went to Nicaragua, so that's where I was. And similar situation to what you're talking about, where it's a very poor area. You don't know what you're walking into, and yet the kids had made balloons for us. There was cheering and shouting when we got there. So much happiness and contentment. They just wanted to play games with you. They wanted to take pictures with you, talk to you. Truly an experience that I'll never forget. And seeing the work that the child champions are doing there, the pastors of the local churches are doing there, it just left me feeling... It's a mix of brokenness, sadness, and also great hope and joy, knowing that these kids do have people there with them that are going to help them, and then we can come back here and vouch for these kids as well. So while it is difficult and sad to see the circumstances that they're in, there's also great hope and joy in knowing the difference that we can all make when we come along and sponsor a child. And so that's what we're asking you to do here for the next couple of days at Faith Radio. Again, myfaithradio.com. We are partnering with the Centauro Hope Center in Ethiopia in particular, with the goal to get 100 kids sponsored, and a handful of them already have. So can you be next to take one moment for one child? Find that child that speaks to you that you would like to sponsor and change their life. But yeah, truly an unforgettable experience, Bill, and something that I'm sure me and Rick will always remember.
So, Rick, you saw the Centauro Hope Center, didn't you?
We were in the Nairobi area, so we did not get to go to Ethiopia and see this particular Hope Center.
I should have done better show prep. That's why it's fault.
Yeah, no, I was going to say I'll take responsibility for that one. But
give me an idea of what the kids, what are some of the great benefits of a kid being able to go to a Hope Center and how it can be life-changing for these kids.
Yeah, well, I think the first and best benefit is that these aren't just educational centers. They're not just daycares trying to take care of and feed kids, but the number one priority is to teach these kids about Jesus, and that, you know, he loves them so much that he died for them, and to reach them with the gospel. And so to walk in and hear these kids singing songs about Jesus and how much he loves them, and, you know, sitting in a classroom where, you know, they're teaching them the Bible, they're telling them the Bible story so that they know how much that God loves them, is just so incredible that that's the kind of experience they have. And then, you know, as they get older and progress through the Hope Centers, a lot of them have these like life skills classes. So in addition to learning about Jesus, in addition to getting help with their regular schoolwork, you know, you had kids that are making jewelry and sewing, and they're able to go and sell these things to make money for the Hope Centers and their families. And, you know, they're learning real life skills that they can take out and use to make money and support themselves and their families after they graduate from the Hope Centers.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to try to ask some questions that the listeners might be thinking right now. So if I adopt a little girl or sponsor a little girl and she's 9 years old, how long do I sponsor that child? Is it a year? Is it till she's 18? How long does that last? And is there a way for me to opt out if it doesn't work for me after a period of time?
Yeah, so I believe most of the kids stay in it through about 18 years of age. They try to get them through their kind of primary and secondary schooling with the hopes that they'll ultimately be set up to go to university, to go to school beyond that, to get a degree. And so, you know, for my family, it is that commitment where we want to sign up and we want to see them through the whole thing. But, you know, I'll be honest, there was a child we sponsored early on through another organization, and just because of financial things that happened, we had to stop sponsoring. So it is completely at will. And so if at any point there's a reason why you can't sponsor a child, you are able to stop at any time. There is a special fund that one child, they set money aside in, and they fund it for, you know, kids that remain unsponsored or, you know, lose a sponsor for one reason or another. Now, they will try to go get another sponsor for that kid, but it's not a lifelong commitment to the point where you can't get out of it. There are options. And, you know, for my family and I, we trust God that for as long as he's asking us to sponsor these kids, he's going to provide the way to do it. And that's one of the things I would say is, you know, maybe you're not sure if it can be an ongoing commitment, but you could step out in faith and be like, okay, God, I'm going to sign up and pay the first month, and I'm going to trust you to reach the second month. But ultimately, if it's not there, you can stop your sponsorship at any time.
That's a great point, Rick. And something I would say as well is when people go to myfaithradio.com and they look at the Sintaro Hope Center in Ethiopia, which is the one that we are particularly working with, you will see a lot of 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds who are looking for a sponsor. But to your point, Rick, whether it be a child hasn't been sponsored yet, their sponsor had to stop sponsoring them, there are some older ones as well, around 14, 15, 16 years of age. So if you're looking for a commitment of 1 to 2, 3 years, there is that option as well. Or to your point, you can step out and trust God and say, I'll sponsor a 5, 6, 7-year-old and trust that those funds are going to come in. And ultimately, if you can't make it work, one child will work with you in that way. But there are a variety of options if somebody is concerned about that or wondering what that commitment does look like. So just to clarify and clear that up.
Yeah, absolutely. I know radio friends that or others that have sponsored who had teenagers, and so they preferred to sponsor the older kids, which honestly are harder to get sponsored because they're not the cute little kids that a lot of people seem to gravitate to at first. And so that is definitely a route you could take if you had teenagers and you want to sponsor, an older child that's the same age as your kids, to kind of form that relationship as well. That's completely an option.
And then what about if a person says, I'm okay with the idea of sponsoring a child. I'm just not a letter writer. I don't know if I want to be involved in writing letters, or I don't know how often I would be willing to do that, but I really want to sponsor a child. Is that okay?
Absolutely, it's okay. First and foremost, your sponsorship dollars are going to get them into the Hope Center, out of the lot of hard areas that they're in. And in a lot of these areas, it's like, well, you can do this bad thing. We've talked about kids who have to go through garbage heaps for their food for the day or to find stuff to sell, or a lot of areas are in gang territory or drug. And so it's kind of like, that life or the Hope Center. So even just your sponsorship gives these kids hope. It gets them out of the poverty and hard situations they're living in into the Hope Center. So that is going to make a difference. They're going to hear about the love of Jesus. Now, so you don't have to do the communication. I do believe the new way where it's as simple as recording a video is going to make it very easy for you to do it. But yeah, if that feels overwhelming, your sponsorship is going to make a huge difference. But I would encourage you to try the video thing out, see how it feels. We do know from one child that kids who have communication, that kind of two-way communication with their sponsors, do seem to thrive and do a little bit better. But even just at the sponsorship level, giving them into the Hope Center is life-changing for those kids.
Yeah, it's a level of poverty and struggle that we're just not that familiar with. True?
Oh, very true. I mean, just like I said, so many things I take for granted that I have heat and air conditioning in my house, and, there's always a refrigerator full of food and drinks, and I can, drink the water that comes out of my tap and use the bathroom in my home. I take so advantage of those things that, these kids just don't have. And so your sponsorship alone helps with so many of those things.
Mm-hmm. Rick, I so appreciate both you and Wyatt and your experiences that you've had going on these trips, and the enthusiasm you can bring to encourage others to sponsor a child, because it makes a big difference. So thank you very much for taking the time to chat.
Oh, you're so welcome, Bill. Thank you for having me on. I could talk about this for a long time. I'm very passionate about it. So thank you.
I love it. Have a great rest of the day. All right, Rick Smith has been our guest. He's the program director and on-air host at WCIC in Peoria. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back with lots more.
One moment for one child.
When I was a little girl, I wanted to go to school. But in India, it's not a priority for girls to attend school. Even the neighbor said to my parents, "What is the point of educating your daughter? Girls can't do anything." But my mom found out that the Hope Center had a place for me, and a sponsor would help pay the fees. I loved school. I loved my studies. And I heard about God's love too. Now, I just scored 84% on the exam and have been accepted into the Delhi University.
Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Wyatt Morell, and it is our first day of our one-child what are we calling this? Why?
Yeah, it's a campaign, I guess, is how I would say it, right? Where we're trying to get 100 kids in the Centauro village in Ethiopia sponsored. We partner with One Child. We have these days out of the year. And I think a big reason why is when you think about our mission statement, Bill, to lead people to Christ and nurture believers in their spiritual growth. This is doing that because these kids hear about Jesus. It looks a little different than how we normally do it, but it's still following our mission to try and get these kids sponsored so that they can hear about Jesus in these hope centers. And it's stuff we can't even comprehend. Like you hear in that clip with that lady in India, she was told, girls can't do anything. Why would you get educated? I mean, that's the world they're living in. It's hard to comprehend sometimes.
When you hear these stories, you have a way of having them get under your skin, and you can't forget them.
Yeah.
There was a gentleman I interviewed last year, and he is now living in Nashville as a successful businessman with a family of 3 kids. But he grew up in a 800-square-foot room in India. There was no bathroom in the room, and he shared it with his mom and dad and sister. And it would be 110 during the day. Dad was a welder. And you'd come home from a 8, 9 hour, 10 hour day of welding in 110 degree heat. And then you would go about your family life, and there wasn't air conditioning or nothing. And you realize how devastatingly poor some people live.
Yeah. Yeah,
in conditions we can't imagine.
No, you truly can. I will always remember from my trip to Nicaragua a year ago with One Child, walking up to this home, which was a tiny little shack, and it's a mother and a father and their 7 daughters living in this tiny little building with dirt floors, a roof with several leaks in it. I mean, they have a tarp over the roof to try and basically keep the rain and anything else from getting in, and just nothing. They had nothing, and yet that's what they're living in every single day. And so when you ask, why does it matter? Why does changing one child's life matters? That's why it matters, because they get a chance to go to the Hope Center where they're protected. They get food, love, affection. And there are countless stories like the one you just told, Bill, of children who have been sponsored that go on to do incredible things that they otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity to do.
And he was talking about going to the Hope Center, and he said it was a place where I felt loved, accepted. I had kids to play with, other kids to play with, food to eat, medicine to get. And he said it changed my life, and it allowed me to have dreams. Yeah. Dreams beyond New Delhi, India.
Right. And they should be allowed to dream. I mean, What kid shouldn't be allowed to dream, right? And have a hope for a future, whether it's to become a doctor, a police officer, to give back to their community. I've seen a couple of the kids at the Centauro village in Ethiopia say they want to be a driver and get things around to their community, you know, packages and other stuff. So there's a lot of different dreams, aspirations, and goals that these children have. And when you sponsor one of them, you give them a chance to come up through this program in the Hope Center where they get all the stuff we've been talking about. And then more importantly than anything, they hear about Jesus and build a relationship with him as well. So if you're interested in sponsoring a child, if you're considering that, thank you so much. Go to myfaithradio.com, click on Sponsor a Child. It'll be right there on the front page. You can learn more. It is $44 a month. That's the cost. You can also text the word child to 877-933 2484. We'll send you a link and you can get more information on these kids at the Centauro village that way as well.
Matthew 25 says, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. And for I was hungry and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison and you did not look after me. When you look and read these stories of these kids, they are the most vulnerable. And there are so many kids living in such dangerous parts of the world where the crime and the drug and sex trafficking and these kids are so vulnerable because they don't see a way out of their situation. And the Hope Centers, and this is what I think is so cool, why you probably know this better than me, the One Child partners with the churches in the community. So these churches are able to connect with the kids and the families and meet their needs in ways that couldn't be met otherwise.
Right. So you hear One Child, that organization, a lot when we partner with them, but it's not about them. They don't go around parading, their signs everywhere saying, look what we did, or look how we're getting these kids sponsored. They're simply there to support the local church and the pastors and the people who are at the Hope Center so that they can get these kids what they need. So that's why it's so fun and so cool to work with One Child. It's not about them. It's about the kids. It's about the people there on the ground loving these kids every single day. And they've done some incredible work over the years and are continuing to do amazing things around the world. And it's fun for us at Faith Radio to be a part of it and to sponsor these kids and to see all the lives and how they've been impacted, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And Wyatt, we're trying to reach 100 kids in Ethiopia in this Sentaro area. And right now we've had 8 kids sponsored. And this is a 2-day campaign. Mm-hmm. And so we're looking for people to prayerfully say, you know what, I think this could be something I would be so happy to do, to make a difference in the life of a kid in Ethiopia.
Yeah. Yeah, where you can write letters to that kid back and forth. I mean, somebody you don't even know yet. You haven't even seen their picture. You don't know they're out there, but they are. And then you have an opportunity, Bill, like you're saying, to sponsor them all the way around the world, give them what they need, write letters back and forth with them if you'd like to do so, communicate with them. Yep, you don't have to if you don't want to, but you can be as invested as you want into this process. And yeah, it really is a remarkable thing. And so it may seem daunting to think, okay, here's this goal of 100 kids we want to get sponsored. I don't want you to worry about that. I want you to worry about the one kid. Can you be a child champion for one kid? Take one moment for one child, change their life, whether it be a little boy, a little girl who is in need of your help, your support. Again, go to myfaithradio.com. Thank you for prayerfully considering. We can also send you more information if you text the word child to 877-933-2484.
We think this is worth our time, and we really believe it's worth your time, because this ministry is so good. And One Child is so powerful. We're going to have the president of One Child on the next hour.
That's right.
And he's about as sharp as they come.
Yeah.
I think he was a cardiologist or a radiologist or something, and he left his job in medicine to take on this project. And it's truly remarkable what he has learned and how God has shaped his life. And the ability to change the life of some kid on the other side of the world in a significant way. Where else are you going to have this opportunity?
Yeah, you don't. It really is remarkable. So, and
this whole thing is set up.
Yeah, speaking of the president of One Child, Scott Todd, he's coming on the show. I mean, he qualified to be a guest on the Bill Arnold show, so that should tell you everything you need to know about the guy. I mean, right there.
Don't go bragging that up.
Yeah, the guy's a genius. That. So anyways, we've talked a little bit about how these kids go on to do remarkable things. I want to play a 2-minute clip here from Mike in a second. So Mike is a program manager in Kenya with One Child. He actually was a sponsored child, Bill. He had the opportunity to go through the Hope Center as a kid. It changed his life. And now he also sees the other side of it and how sponsoring a child changes their life. So he's experienced both aspects of it. So he's got a new mindset of hope that's been replaced with that poverty mindset. And, there's no hope or a future getting out of this. And now he's experiencing what it's truly like on the other side of that. So just a little background on Mike before I play this clip. And he might mention this, but I just want to make sure you know what you're listening to. When Mike was 7, his dad was sentenced to prison. His family suddenly didn't have anyone to provide, and it was a very challenging time for him, leaving him hopeless. But he was sponsored through One Child. He then received the support he desperately needed. His life began to have a meaning. He was going to school. He graduated from college, and now he is where he is today because of all of that. So he's working with One Child. I'll let you listen to this, listen to what Mike has to say, and as you do, consider sponsoring a child just like Mike did so that you can make a difference in someone's life. You can go to myfaithradio.com to learn more, or you can simply text the word child to 877-933-2484. Here's Mike.
By being at the Hope Center, it's when I started seeing life from a different perspective, because initially I had seen life from a poverty point of view without any hope. My name is Mike Simba. I'm serving One Child as a program manager. I supervise and implement the program together with all the partners in Kenya. I supervise the One Child staff who are in the field, and I also support the child champions. I was born from a family of 5 children, and at the age of 7, my dad was sentenced to 5 years in prison. We didn't have anybody to provide. We found ourselves sharing one bed, all of us, the siblings and my mom. And that's when I got the sponsorship. And that's when I started getting support. And that's where life started getting a meaning to me. I started going to school, seeing things in reality. When I finished high school, the program still supported me to go to college. I supported my siblings. Now all of us graduated, and my family, each one of us can support themselves. For the 7 years that I've been working with one child, I have seen the same transformation, same as mine, because I know so many children individually who have gone through the one child program, and are now, some are working, some are employed, some have hope, even if they didn't reach to higher employments or in big offices, they can support themselves and they have hope. And the greatest, they have received Christ. Were it not for somebody supporting me through the Hope Center, I would not be where I am right now.
Oh, that's such a great story. I'm so glad to hear Mike's journey and his sponsorship through One Child, how it made such a difference in his life. You can imagine these kids not only gaining some skills and some confidence, but they're able to start to dream of a brighter future. And you can think of the connections they're going to be making with friends and with child champions at the Hope Centers. And then they're able to possibly change the trajectory of their entire life because a small gesture was made by you.
Yeah, I don't think we talk enough about that, Bill, in the way that, we talk about what they get if they get to go into the Hope Center, right? And all the good things that come from that. But we don't often talk about the other things that are trying to get their attention, right? Like, some of these kids, as sad as it may sound, they get trafficked or they fall into drugs or they get into gang activity.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's a big one.
Just about to say that. So there's all sorts of things that are trying to get our attention, just like it is back here in America for us. There are all sorts of things constantly trying to grab us, get our attention. If we don't fill these kids with Jesus, if we don't give them that opportunity in the Hope Center, it could be a drastically different path that they find themselves going down. So that's the importance of it. That's why it matters. You just heard it firsthand from Mike Simba, who's now a program manager in Kenya. And it's been cool to see that story and what he's doing now and just, the difference One Child and sponsorship made for him. So if you're interested in supporting a child, sponsoring them, changing their life, you can go to myfaithradio.com or simply text the word child to 877-933-2484.
Yeah, we're looking to hear what response you might have. This is today and tomorrow. We're going to encourage you to sponsor a child through One Child. Wyatt, I know you sponsor a child, and I've sponsored a child, I think, for 4 years now, and it's very satisfying. And I think you're going to realize that making a difference in the life of one little person across the world is going to bring you great joy. So thank you for considering that. Go over to myfaithradio.com and check it out. You can look through the long list of kids that are ready to be sponsored. And there might be one that you look at and the Lord said, choose him, choose her.
Right.
And that way you can get started. We're going to take a short break and be right back. Hi, podcast listener. I'm Bill Arnold, and my theme song says, "What's for dinner?" And like when I'm grilling, I'm paying really close attention. And I know that ideal second to get the food off the grill. Like all good and ideal timings in life, right now would be an ideal time to be a cheerful giver to Faith Radio. Give now to support this podcast so that more people in more places might come to saving faith in Jesus and grow in their relationship and become a fully devoted follower. Click the link in the show notes or give now at myfaithradio.com.
Ready to do something radical? One moment for one child.
A child like me.
It's pretty powerful to go on the website, go to myfaithradio.com and look at these kids. Wyatt, I opened up the website and I'm looking at this little girl, age 6. Her name is Abiat. And she's lives with her parents and she attends the Sintaro Village primary and middle school. And each day at school gives me new opportunities to learn, grow and dream bigger.
I love that.
6.
I love that.
Yeah. She goes, after school, I like being with my friends because it brings me a lot of joy. Someday, I want to become a pilot. And I'm working hard toward that goal. I'm grateful for your support.
Kid's 6 years old.
You weren't talking that way when you were 6, were you?
No, not that I can remember. My goodness. But that's the dreams that they have. You know, they don't look at where they're at in life right now and all the challenges and obstacles and think, I'm never going to amount to anything. They have dreams. They have goals, and we can help them accomplish just that. So love that. What was the girl's name you had mentioned? It was
Abiat.
Abiat.
Yeah.
Abiat, I'm praying that you become a pilot one day. That's awesome.
She's absolutely adorable. All right, let's pick another child here. Here's Agizi.
Geezy.
Not an easy name to say.
Okay.
And he's also in this Centauro village, and he enjoys playing with his friends. So it sounds like this community is really important. And I also try to help my family at home. When I imagine my future, I hope to become a football player.
Nice. And I'm assuming he's talking about what we call soccer here in America. But that was one of the things, Bill, when I went to Nicaragua on that mission trip to see the different Hope Centers there. We played soccer with the kids. They love it. They love competition. They love playing, the smiles on their faces. It's a big deal to them. So, love hearing that too. That's one of my favorite parts, Bill, of doing this is reading all these kids' dreams and what they like, what they don't like. It's pretty special, and you really feel like you build a connection with them, and you've never even met them before in most cases, but yet there's a connection there because of what they like, what their interests are, and what they hope to accomplish one day. It's pretty special.
Here's a little boy named Solomon. He's 6 as well. He's at the Centauro village, and I love going to this school. I get to practice new skills, and I learn more each day. At school, I like doing different activities, especially when I can do them with friends. When I grow up, I want to be a doctor.
Oh, my goodness, a doctor.
6 years old.
It's 6 years old.
Yeah.
So here's a kid. He doesn't have a lot right now. You know, they go over there into the Hope Center and they get some food and the basic necessities. And yet, what does he want to do? He wants to give back. He wants to help other people. That's incredible to me, especially at a young age like that. So pretty cool. That was Solomon, you said?
Solomon, yeah.
Solomon, that's awesome, buddy. Maybe you can go and sponsor Solomon right now by going to myfaithradio.com. Give him that opportunity to pursue his dream of becoming a doctor. We've had a couple of sponsors come in now here in the last 10 minutes or so, so we're getting closer to that number of 100 kids in the Centauro village being sponsored, Bill. Still a ways to go. Don't worry about that, though, if you're listening. Just worry about that one child that you can make a difference for, again, at myfaithradio.com.
Again, I'm amazed at these kids when they're 5 or 6 have a dream for their life already.
I know.
You know, at 6, what I wanted to be Superman, I think. That didn't really work out.
It didn't happen, no.
But here's Zinabu. He's 6, and when he grows up, he wants to be a police officer.
Yeah.
He probably wants to protect people and help people, and God bless him. And he's only 6, and these kids already have dreams of what they want to do when they grow up. It's powerful.
Right, and a lot of that probably comes from, and I don't know his exact circumstance or situation, but a lot of these kids have to try and provide for their families at that age. They're working, they're out there, whatever it may be that they're doing to try and get food for their families. So you're right, he probably wants to protect people because he's been protecting his family, or he feels that sense of, you know, I guess danger at times because of the circumstances they're in. So yeah, it's interesting.
And here's little Abate. He's 5, and he grows up. He goes, I'd like to become a soldier. Okay. Again, it's probably that instinct to want to be a person that protects others,
right?
A person that defends. I'm sure that's part of that survival instinct,
right? Because and that's just it. That's a great way to put it. It's a survival instinct because we don't know what these kids have been through in the first 5, 6, 7 years of their lives and what they've had to endure, and even just right now, some of the circumstances that they're facing. Like we said, there's always gang activity in these areas, in these regions. There's other stuff going on that little kids should never have to see or participate in. And yet that's the reality. So in their minds, there's an extra sense of protection or want to help or protect people. And so I think that's why you see that in some of these kids' dreams or what they want to do when they grow up.
Mm-hmm. And if you find a child you'd like to sponsor, keep in mind that you might be able to sponsor that child for a year or 5 years or 15 years.
Right. Right.
By age 18, they opt out of the program.
Yeah.
But what a great opportunity to come side by side with the child and be able to communicate with them maybe over the next 10 years.
Yeah, no question. And there are different ages on there. We've seen a couple of 12-year-olds in the Centauro Village get sponsored today, and then all the way down to a little girl who was 5 years old that got sponsored. So there are different ages on there. They typically, right now in the Centauro Village, range from 5, 6, 7 years old. But yeah, to your point, Bill, you can do it all the way through until they're 18 if God has blessed you and you're able to do that. If you do have situations arise where financially you no longer can make it work, one child will work with you and get another sponsor for that child. So maybe it is a year, 2, 3 years. Whatever you can commit to right now makes a difference in getting the child sponsored so that they have everything we've been talking about.
Yeah. So thank you for the interest. Thank you for a sponsorship that's already come in this hour. That is very meaningful. We'd love to get 100 kids sponsored total in these next 2 days. So we've got a little ways to go, but we're confident that God's going to lead the right people to the right kids over in Ethiopia. And we've got a big hour coming up next, don't we?
We do, yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. One moment for one child. We'll continue here in just a little bit. Do you want to tell them what's coming up, or you want me to?
Well, how about the president of the organization?
Ooh, that's a big deal.
And he's got 2 first names.
Yeah, which will be fun.
Yeah.
Don't mix them up.
I do that all the time. All right, we'll take a short break and be right back. Thanks for listening. Programming like this is made available through your support. Information available at myfaithradio.com.